Slavic months. Spring. After a long winter, thawing weather finally comes and a long-awaited spring arrives. Ancient Slavs believed that the onset of spring was also the beginning of a new year. That was long before the modern Gregorian calendar was implemented. With the spring arrival, the air feels fresh and the sun begins to heat a little stronger. There is almost no new snowfall, and the old snow is thawing. The first flowers appear from under the remnants of the snow cover. Here and there spots of dry ground appear in the fields where people can start tilling. Ancient Bulgarians were the first to notice these dry areas and decided to call the first month of spring dry, suho, in Old Church Slavonic. In popular Bulgarian dialects, this name of March is still preserved. They say suh, although now the official language has Mart. Scribes in ancient Rus also called March dry, saying suho. This month was called similarly in Old Slovenian dialects, sushets. In Ukrainian lands, our ancestors noticed that buds begin to appear on birch trees, in Ukrainian bereza, and therefore they called this month berezень. Along with the Ukrainians, birch buds pleased the Czechs, březen, and the Poles, březeň, although now this Polish word is obsolete and the Polish people say marzec. The ancient Bulgarians, however, associated the birch name with April rather than March, the traditional Bulgarian brazok, and brazona in Old Church Slavonic. People also began collecting tree sap in March. That's why the Belarusians call this month Sakavik, from sok, meaning sap. You probably remember how unstable the sunshine is in March. Now and again, a cloud will come and pour wet snow on the ground, which melts without even touching it. Due to this variable and unstable weather, the Croats named March Ozhujak, a deceitful month, deriving from the word laj, meaning lie. As I already mentioned, this was considered the first month of the year by the ancient Slavs, as they counted the year from the beginning of spring. Spring is already asserting itself. All living things rejoice in the fresh wind and the warm sunshine. Apricot trees kindle with white blossom. The first wildflowers open their petals on the meadows. Kwieteń is coming to the Ukrainians, deriving from kwity, flowers. To the Poles, kwiecień arrives, and krasavik to the Belarusians, because the Belarusians call flowers kraski. But the Czechs use this name for the fifth month. They say kwieten for May, because for the Czechs the natural force of April is manifested in the flowering of oaks, dub in Czech. The Czechs call the fourth month duben. Meanwhile, birch trees put on their green-leaf dresses, showing off in the groves. The bright greenery of the birch leaves against the white trunks impressed the ancient Rus scribes so much that they even called the fourth month berezozol, meaning birch green foliage. We observe an increasing variety of colors. Among flowers and grasses in the meadows, the birds have returned from distant lands. Various insects also make themselves felt. The days are already long and warm. Thick grass, trava, grows everywhere. In a while, the mowers will get to it with their scythes. It's time for the month of May, traveń in Ukrainian. This was the name of this month in ancient Rus, Traveno. The Slovenians in old times called it Veliki Traven. The Belarusians still say traveń like the Ukrainians do. And the Poles also once said traveń, but now because of their habit of focusing on Latin, they just say May. The ancient Slavs in the Balkans also did not forget about the grass, and called the season traveno, a word that still exists among the Bulgarian people, treven. In the lands of southern Slavs, the grass begins to grow earlier, so they use this name for the fourth month. The Slovenes used to say mali traven, and the Croats simply say travanj. This is what I recall is April by Ukrainian terms. A little bit confusing, right? In some places, large bushes of dogwood explode with tassels of white flowers on the hills. Dogwood branches have a wonderful property. They bend well, and they do not break. This is an ideal material to make bows. Such bows were made in particular in medieval Croatia, where this bush is called svib or svibovina, and accordingly the month of May, when dogwood blooms, was called svibanj. Subscribe to my channel and become patron on Patreon, and I will see you next time.